Hey guys, another video. I'm just gonna do a quick video, show you some stuffs. The Gorge I'll run. I'll briefly explain how to play, kind of optimizing your speed, and I'll talk about stuff that kills you, things to avoid, and the likes. And then when I finish the Gorge, I'll show you how to calculate the base damage of your spectral throw and how much added damage you have and how much increased percentage you have on your damage. So, Deeps is the same thing. I leveled up, so I gained 126 ES or something of the sort. I'll show you Gorge Run, something like this. But in general, keep in mind these things when you're going to be playing maps. So, first off, what you want to do is you want to take advantage of spectral throw mechanics. So, for example, if I go backwards and I like run through mobs, the spectral throw follows me. So you can use this to your advantage to clear like extra mobs quickly. So an example of this is you're killing stuff, and then these projectiles are following you a little bit, and you can control your whirling blades and like trail the projectiles and go through like mobs, and it helps you clear speed a little bit. So of course Gorge is like an easier map to do for this kind of stuff, and it's not going to be easy in like closed door maps or really tight spaces, but in general this is something you can pull off pretty often, and it's like kind of fun too. So you can focus on doing that to entertain yourself while you're playing maps. Generally you don't really do much of that though. Most of the time you just want to go like brain dead, but if you do want to like optimize your play speed, you can control the like spectral throws that trail behind you to hit more mobs and help your clear speed. So let me show you more examples of that. What you can do is you can position yourself to kill like mobs and maximize the speed you go at by minimizing the amount of attacks you have to throw. So for example, you go here and you have to throw an attack here, and then you come to these mobs and you throw to like this direction. So let me show you. I mean, you like clear half the mobs pack with the trailing of the spectral, and then you attack the other half with your new attack. So if you go like this and you start attacking these mobs, that's like what you want to do. So it's actually pretty hard to do, so it's not, don't expect to like pull that off like right off the bat. And like a lot of times you can't even pull it off, but that's just something you can like play around with if you are interested in that. So what do you want to watch out for on this build? What stuff that kills you is just hard-hitting physicals. If you don't use like full damage pots like me, you can actually get a lot of more defenses. Say if you're playing hardcore, maybe you run a double Vinctors, and maybe you run like a granite flask or some sort of armor flask, and that helps a lot for survivability. But if you're not doing that kind of stuff and you're running like damage flasks like me, then what you want to watch out for is a lot of physical things that hurt, like porkies. The porcupines, they explode with spikes on death. Those things hurt a lot, especially if you don't shatter them. Normally you shatter them and it's okay, but on maps like immune to status ailment, or even just avoid status ailments, if you like don't crit, or you like they avoid all the status ailments that you shoot, then you're gonna be in trouble. Other things are like volatiles. When you see like a rare and you see it's like glowing orange, you don't want to like walk up to it and like attack. You want to actually run away, and that way you will never die to volatiles. And stuff like Act 4 monsters, like those pokies that like hit from like half a screen away and poke you in the face. Those things can like hit you all at the same time with 10 mobs, and that thing hurts a lot. So those are the things you generally want to watch out for. Of course, just be careful of stuff like detonate dead boxes or dangerous stuff like scary beyond mobs like Haas. If you have your Vinctors down, then you're going to be in a sketchy situation, because that's where most of your leech, like all of your leech comes from. Okay, so that's the Gorge, and now I'm going to show you if you want to figure out how much increased damage you have on your gear. So what's happening is you have all this, I'll show you here, this is your final damage of the lightning, for example, or the cold or the fire. Now I don't have very much physical, so you don't have to worry about that, but this damage that shows in the stat sheet is not modified by your global multiplier. So your multi only affects the final deeps, but it doesn't affect the base damage over here. So let me prove that for you. You see this has attack speed and multi. If I take this off, this doesn't change the base damage of the lightning damage, and that's because this is not modified by the multiplier at all. It's only modified by your increased damage stuffs that applies to it. For example, for me, I have Crown of Ice, so spell damage also affects it. Lightning damage from, quality on lightning, added lightning, and things like, where's my Herald of Thunder? Quality on Herald of Thunder gives 15% increased lightning damage. Those will all affect the lightning damage and up the base damage. So you're going to have some base damage that comes from, for me, added lightning and wrath mostly. There are some other places, like I have jewelry here. I have, I think that's pretty much it, those 3 pieces. Those are where I get my lightning. So say you want to find out how much increased lightning do I have as a percentage and what is my base lightning. This is how you go about doing it. What you want to do is you want to remove some of your base lightning damage and then find the total change and then just divide the two, and then that ratio will be your increased. So say you want to take off your wrath, the thing you got to be careful of is if you're taking off stuff. For example, if I take off added lightning, this also has 10% increase. So you want to it gets a little complicated if you take off something with the increase. And in the same way, if you turn off aura, this is an aura, and aura effectiveness changes the wrath to be slightly higher. Now I have 32 aura effectiveness on the tree, so the top end damage is not actually 248, it's 327. So I have 327 added damage from my wrath. If I take this off, this goes to 2472. Now it went from 2472 to 4206, 07, and then the base damage of wrath was 327. So did I type that right? 2472. Yeah. So 4207. So you see, you just subtract that and then you divide by the base, which in my case is, as you can see, 6 aura here, 6 aura effectiveness here, and then 20. So that should be 32. And that will give me 5.3. And then you can see that I have a 5.3 increased, or multiplier. I have a 4.3 increased lightning damage. The multiplier is 5.3. So what that means is my base damage of lightning is 4207 divided by 5.3 is somewhere around 800. So that's how you do the math for it. Now you just got to be careful that when you're turning off auras, you got to keep in mind the aura effectiveness. And if you take out lightning damage, you got to keep in mind that you're dropping a bit more because you also have increased lightning damage here. So that's how you do it. If I start taking off all my stuff, you see I start losing all my lightning damage. And it's because those are all the sources of my lightning damage. And that's how you find the increase and you find the base. I showed you last time the same thing with ES. You just take off some base ES, 43 here. You find the change in energy shield. It's too short of 200, so that's 198. 198 divided by 43. So I have a 4.6 ES multiplier. And then you can find your base ES by taking your total ES and dividing by that multiplier. So my base is 2097. So that's how you do the general math for this kind of stuff. What is this useful for? It's useful if you want to figure out how much more damage a 10% increased node will give you. For example, if you have 5.3 multiplier and you get a 10% node, that's going to shoot up your total deeps by 1 out of 53. So it's around a 2% final damage to your lightning damage at the very end. So that's what that's useful for. You can figure out how much a increased projectile damage or increased lightning damage will affect your lightning damage by at the very end of the calculation. So you'll see, okay, at the very end I'll get 1.8% more or 2% more or whatever it is. And same with the ES. If you find your base and your percentages, you can find out how much percent 6% will give you. So for me, you saw I had like 2097 or whatever base. If I got another 6% node, that's going to give me 126, 125. So if I can demonstrate that right now, I will respec out of one of my nodes a 6% node, and it'll give me, should shoot down to like 452 or something like that. So, I mean 952. So as you can see, that's a calculation that you can have when you have the base of your ES or of your base damage. You can find out exactly how much more an energy shield node, or how much, or approximately how much more your projectile will be. And as I said, you got to be careful of all the stuff that changes the increase. For example, my increased lightning may not be the same as my increased cold. If you have different qualities on your Herald device and you don't have quality on Herald of Thunder, then the different elements will have different increases. So keep that in mind. But for ES, it should be a pretty straightforward calculation. And that's how you do the math. I hope you guys learned something, and see you guys next time.